Welcome to episode 79 of Instant Expertise Marketing. We are now launching a four-part mini series on the foundational pillars that every offer needs to drive campaign results. Over the next four episodes, we're going to take a deeper dive into what we have discovered about why some offers fail and others succeed. You could say that these highlights and insights are 35 years in the making. And it's hard to believe, but it really has taken us that long to figure it out. Even though when you hear it, you're going to go, oh my gosh, that seems so simple. But I guarantee you, it's not like anything you've ever heard before. So let's get started. I'm Yvette Brown, co-founder of X Promos. I became an entrepreneur at 23 by starting a promotions agency with my then 29-year-old business partner, Sherry Nomadi.
And that makes me Sherry Nomadi. You guys already know by now that Yvette and I approach business from opposite ends of the spectrum, and yet we always come to the same conclusions on how to help our clients succeed. But before we get into it, Yvette, we really need to step back and explain why the offer is so important and how could it possibly have taken us 35 years to figure it out, right?
Yeah, that's really a good point for sure. Well, first, you have to accept that most all marketing is designed to get a prospect or a customer to take an action. Okay. Whether it is joining a list, downloading a report, trying something, buying something, or once they've bought something, having them buy something else.
Yeah, so think about it, whether you're launching a product or you might be creating a webinar, maybe you're preparing for a trade show or creating a new campaign, driving reviews. Your immediate goal is to compel your audience to take one specific action and move towards the bigger goal of spending more money with your company.
Absolutely true. And when you consider the human nature piece of this, because that is a critical part of this, you realize that people need a reason to act. Without a deadline and some compelling reason to move forward right now, they're going to wait. It's just human nature, it's the way it is. So, your job as a marketer is to give them that reason to act now.
Absolutely. And the problem is that the reason is often an afterthought in most initiatives.
Yeah.
So we get so focused on the thing, the new product, the trade show booth, the webinar, that we actually forget to give our prospects a reason to care about what we actually have to offer.
Yeah, and quite honestly, virtually everything we all sell is designed to be cheaper, it's designed to be faster, it's designed to be better than what the prospect is currently doing. And so when you're blandly communicating that to a prospect or customer, it's just not compelling. That's not a good enough reason to get them to act.
And that's really where the offer comes in. And when it's done right, an offer what we what we call a signature offer, and that's because it compels your audience to take that action. It repels those who aren't part of your ICP, and I can't easily replicate by your competitors. It just can't be.
Yeah, and that's really the point. But how can that even be, you might ask? Well, the reason why is because a signature offer connects the essence of your brand with your ICP. So if you actually have a unique selling proposition, and we're really hoping that if you're listening in, you do have something unique about your product, and that is what you're talking to prospects about, then that same offer that you're using, if it's a signature offer, it's going to fall flat with your competitors if they try to replicate it just by its nature.
Now, as we said, it really has taken us 35 years to figure this out.
Sad
That
but
may
true.
seem like hyperbole, but really it's not. Since we launched our agency in 1989, we have always focused on creating compelling campaigns, and they exceeded our client expectations. And that's because we approach business differently than our competitors did. And we showed that our approach worked for consumer brands as well as business to business brands.
Yeah, and that was a big aha for us is when we realized that we could make that transfer of knowledge from one to the other and it still worked. And that was
Mhm.
great. But the problem was that we didn't understand how it worked. We just knew that it worked. And, the reality is when we first, years ago, when we tried to explain how we did it, we just ended up kind of calling it the X factor, right? Which made sense with
Mhm.
our name X promos, of course. But the reality is that Sherry and I have just really always had an uncanny ability to create campaigns that work and that break through the clutter and deliver results above expectations.
Yeah, actually, one of our clients literally said the words, I just tell them what I want to accomplish. And then it's like magic, poof, the campaign is always even better than I expected. So for a while, we just kind of went with that. But eventually, we just felt this compelling force to share our knowledge with our other marketers, especially those who were spending hard earned money on marketing initiatives, but not getting results that they desired.
Yeah, and I can't really tell you how many times, Sherry and I talk about it all the time, that you see a campaign and you know that there's big money behind it because you see it like a million times, in your feeds and things like that. And you just go, "Ugh, they this could have been so great and they just missed the mark." And, after seeing that so often, we thought, you know what, we're going to try again. I mean, really, we've never really given up trying to figure it out, but we kept leaning into it, kept scratching it out and trying, and we really tried in earnest to figure out how it is we do what we do. And even then, it still took a few more years, but I think we finally have figured it out. And that's kind of, been our big aha the last few months, I'd say.
Yeah. And that's what we really want to share now. We finally deconstructed what we call the anatomy of an offer. And we have figured out exactly what makes an offer fire on all cylinders. And it turns out that there are actually four very critical components, well, pillars, if you will, that you need to solidify your own signature offer.
And today, with that sort of backstory on why we're here and why we're talking about it, we're going to introduce you to the very first of the four pillars.
Pillar number one, this is the structural skeleton. And this is really the core of your offer. It is that one sentence statement that summarizes the value you're offering the prospect in exchange for them completing a very specific action.
Now, that may sound super, super simple, but the strategy behind it is where the value lies. You see, that value that you're providing must align with the right step in the customer journey, or you're risking asking your prospect to do too much too soon, like too early in the relationship. It also must
Mhm.
be something that your audience finds valuable, right? It can't be a crummy reward, you guys, but ideally is not of much interest to others outside of your ideal prospect audience. And that's what we mean by that compelling for your audience and repelling to others.
So, this is why Amazon gift cards and Starbucks gift cards can work, but they're not really that compelling.
Right.
And you can't ask the prospect to do too much to get that desired reward. Because if you start to create friction in the customer experience, you're going to lose them.
Yeah, and just to touch real quickly on budget because that's always a concern for folks is we've often found that with that same budget that you were going to use for that Amazon gift card or for that Starbucks gift card, you can repurpose those dollars in a way that ties in and creates more of what we're talking about here as a signature offer. But wait, there's even more. Okay? Your offer should also align with the essence of your brand. It needs to reflect who you are, or at the very least, it needs to reinforce a key benefit that you're trying to communicate within this campaign.
And finally, the offer should help move the prospect forward towards the next step in their customer journey.
Yeah, and that's really critical. Again, you can't, this isn't the speed lane on Candyland. You can't just jump steps. There's no accelerator. This is really a understanding where they are in the customer journey, getting them to take the next step forward, not 4 steps ahead, and making it easy and compelling for them to do so. And so now, as you can imagine, there are boundless examples of structural skeletons. And this is why you can't really, there is no single solution that's going to work for everyone. This can be everything from a game of chance, it can be VIP access, it could be valuable, focus on valuable content,
Mhm.
it can be a gift with purchase. It can be a purchase with purchase. It can be a bonus of some kind, really, and those are just to name a very few.
And the very best rewards will emotionally connect your brand to your audience. They're going to tap into a passion
Yep.
and they fix a secondary problem or further connect to the culture.
Yep. And I know that was hopefully a lot of food for thought for you and something that you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't even really thought about like that. So we're going to leave it right there. Because, like we said, there's 4 pillars to the anatomy of an offer, and that's literally just pillar number 1. So you're going to need to come back soon to hear part
Mhm.
2 of our 4-part mini series on how to construct your very own signature offer. But if you need a signature offer today for your brand, visit our website at xpromos.com to connect with us or connect with us on LinkedIn.
And as always, guys, thanks for listening and come back real soon for part 2.